Is there any other piece of advice that you would give women who are pursuing a career in the automotive industry, especially a leadership position?
One of the things that people ask me is, how do you handle those that might not be open to hearing a female voice? And I always say, next, right? Because that's just kind of how I grew up. I had to let that bounce off me. If you have something to say, do not sit in the back row. Sit in the front, because that's where you're going to be heard.
It's everyone's dream to grow, to be a bigger dealer, to be a better dealer, or even get your first dealership.
Car buying is about the people.
Everybody wants to know what's the car business like, and they like to see under the hood.
Welcome to the Walk Around Podcast.
I am one of your hosts, Mark Spoto, joined by my co-host, Heather Wilkinson.
Glad to be here.
Hello, Heather.
Hello.
So today we are joined by Eve Knudtsen, president of Knudtsen Auto Group in Idaho. And she brings such an interesting perspective on leadership, certainly having a perspective on being a woman in the industry and her career path, and also an interesting concept of sitting in the front row as opposed to the back seat.
Yes. And having this be her fourth generation ownership of of this dealership group for her family, she really pinpointed on leadership habits that you should swear by in order to be successful, which she's now instilling into her daughters who are taking over the dealership group.
That's right. Great conversation. We can't wait for you to hear it. Let's take a walk around with Eve Knudtsen. Eve Knudtsen, welcome to the Walk Around Podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your insights with us.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
Pleasure.
We are excited to have you here and just hear your perspective. You know, Eve, you're second generation, I believe?
I'm third.
Third generation dealer. And I know you have your fourth generation coming along. So I think hearing your perspective on what 2026 looks like, your leadership perspective, are all going to be exciting topics.
Eve, you've stated in previous interviews or speaking engagements, you've said that dealers should never sit in the back row. Can you tell us what you mean by that and what has evolved in your perspective as someone who has really interesting insight about the dealership world?
Well, I always say along with that is, if you have something to say, do not sit in the back row. Sit in the front, because that's where you're going to be heard, right? Particularly in that instance, I was talking to a group of female in the automotive industry, and I was saying, don't sit in the back row, sit in the front, right? They can't hear you from the back.
Proximity means everything.
It does.
It really does. And not only to have your voice heard, but also to elevate that message to make change.
Right.
Oh, significant.
So how did that evolve for you? How did you learn to become comfortable sitting in the front row as opposed to waiting or, being more cautious about your thoughts and opinions in the business?
My family's dealership passed from my grandfather to my father. And my entire life growing up, I always heard from my dad and his leadership team about how that was going to transition to my brother. And if I wanted them to do something different, I had to make sure that they heard me. Right. And ultimately, I was able to get them to hear me enough that when the time came for Dad to decide who was truly going to be his successor, he chose me. But if I hadn't been in a position where I could get that message through, they wouldn't have listened to me, and they just would have gone ahead and handed it to my brother, my brother was my partner for a long time. And then he decided he wanted to get into a different industry altogether. But when people ask him, Eric, why was it Eve and not you? He would say, because I wasn't willing to work as hard as she was willing to work to get there.
Well, that's a good segue into our next question.
It most certainly is. Absolutely. So, Eve, what I'm hearing you say, work hard, speak up, sit in the front row.
Right.
Is there any other piece of advice that you would give women who are pursuing a career in the automotive industry, especially a leadership position at dealerships today? What else should they be thinking about?
So one of the things that people ask me is, how do you handle those that might not be open to hearing a female voice? And I always say, next, right? Because that's just kind of how I grew up. I had to let that bounce off me. So I would say it to anybody, right? It doesn't matter your gender, right? The naysayers are out there, right? You have to learn to be resilient and just kind of let that bounce off you. Move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Don't get caught up in what other people think. Just focus. It sounds like for you, Eve, it didn't matter what was happening with your family, other family members, or people in the industry. You had a goal.
Exactly. And I just had to keep pursuing it.
And didn't give up.
For those just getting started in their career in automotive, is there an area of the business that you think would be most influential in accelerating your career? Obviously, getting as much opportunity or finding a way into the business is first, but as you grow into with a store or with a group, where would you advise someone to take their path?
When my older daughter, who's my partner now, Lauren, came in, it was always my plan to bring her in and have her start like in the parts department and work in the parts department for a while and then transition to service and work in service for a while. And when she had asked me, why did you want me to do it that way? I said, because when you finish that part in sales, you are in sales for the rest of your career as a dealer. But you really have to have that foundation in fixed operations. There's a reason why it's the backbone of your business, not the back end.
I love that.
Yeah, most definitely. So thinking about 2026, big concerns around affordability, concerns around inflation, economic uncertainty. Consumers are keeping their vehicles over 13 years. What's on your mind as you look at 2026 and how to continue to grow your business, continue to retain your customers? What are the focal points you're thinking about, Eve?
Jim Collins wrote a book called Good to Great. And in the book, he talks about the concept of a company having a hedgehog. So hedgehogs in the wild have no predators because when they sense danger, they curl up into a ball and they become a very spiny and something that the predators want to leave alone. It could be painful, right? So we're looking at always at what our hedgehog is, which is that intersection of what we do, what we believe that we can be the best in the world at, and what drives our economic engine. For 2026, that has to be in the level of service that we deliver our customers. So our hedgehog has to be that customer service is going to drive our economic engine, right? And that we can be the best in the world at delivering service to our customers so that they will come back, right? And investigate, continuing to do business with us. So it's also a little of the Walgreens concept, right? So how many times can we get the customer to come in and visit us, right? Whether they spend money or not, we just need them to come in and see us.
So
Have the relationship.
when you think about that goal of improving customer service, are you looking at it across different channels? Are you trying to do more technology? Is it more about refining processes in your stores? Is it about training of your people? Is it all the above? Like, what are the things you're looking at to try to improve that customer service experience?
It is all of the above, right? Because I heard someone say at a meeting I was at that AI is not going to replace humans. humans who use AI will replace humans.
Right.
So technology, particularly artificial intelligence, is something that we're looking at. How do we deploy this the best way that we can, right? And so what kind of processes have to go along with adapting to artificial intelligence? And then how do we train our people to be really good at interacting with our processes and our artificial intelligence, so our technology.
Have you all implemented any AI tools within your dealership? And if so, what areas?
Yeah, we have. So one of my stores is in an area where I was having a really difficult time keeping a receptionist, right? And it's so important that calls get answered. And the company that had the dealership before I acquired it had the what did they call that when you would call and you would get
An answering service?
well, it's not an answering service, but
The
it was
automated
audit attendant. That's
auto
it.
attendant. Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And it seems so impersonal, but yet we could go with AI, and that AI agent sounds like you're almost like you're engaging with a person. They even kind of have a sense of humor, right? You can even kind of be
Kind
funny
of,
with.
it's kind of scary.
Yeah. So now I have a receptionist there. There is a live person there, but I also have technology that's there 24/7, 365 days a year to help our customers and get our customers the right places, whether it's I need to schedule an appointment or help, I'm stranded on the side of the road. Can you help send me a tow truck? I mean, all of that.
Yeah.
That AI agent can handle all of that.
Have you seen an increase in the number of appointments that you're setting, or do you have any measurable metrics that you've seen since implementing that?
Well,
This tool.
I haven't put the actual measure to it. And so thank you for reminding me that I need to do that. But so the feeling is this. The feeling is my service consultants are now spending more time with the customer who's there because they're not being interrupted by the phone all the time. Now, the phone calls still come in because the AI agent can help set an appointment, but there are some questions that they can't answer. And so they need to hand that call off to a live service advisor.
Eve, we want to go back a little bit to your growth as a leader. And as you were, becoming more responsible for this dealership group and taking over the succession from your father. Looking back, what is one leadership trait or habit that you started that you would swear by that worked for you and that you would recommend to others who are stepping into a leadership role? Maybe they have managed a smaller team and are now more responsible, or their responsibility has grown to a greater team. And certainly, looking at the operations across all areas of the business, is there something that stood out to you like, wow, this really worked?
Delegating responsibility, I think, has been a really important thing. When my dad ran this store, he would have weekly managers meetings and he talked at his managers, not to his managers. And when I took over those meetings, one of the first things I did was start to train my managers on how to be responsible for the operations of their departments. So we're going to sit down and you're going to tell me what your goal is. And then we're going to talk about whether my goal matches that, right? And how we can come up with a common goal. And then you're going to need to report to me every week on how you're coming with your goal. Right. And if you need help, you need to ask me. You need to come to me. I'm there to remove obstacles from your success. If something's in the way of you being successful, I need to know so I can help remedy that.
So you wanted your service manager to manage his service department, the parts manager to manage their department, and you hold them accountable to it.
Right. I don't need to hear, yes. Oh yeah, boss, we can do that. I need to know how, right? If you're telling me that this is a realistic objective, I need to know how you're going to achieve it.
And they own it.
They own it. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, Eve, we've come to one of our favorite segments
Most
on the
definitely.
Walk Around podcast, and it involves a little bit of risk it or not risk it. We like to call it bet it or forget it. Are you a gambling person?
I'm an auto dealer.
So then, yes.
So that would be a
That would be yes.
definitive yes to the answer to that question.
That's what I always say. People ask me about Las Vegas. So, are you going to gamble in Las Vegas? And I laugh and I go, oh my God, it's for amateurs. I'm an auto dealer. I am a professional.
All right. So we are going to throw out a take or a statement about the industry, and we want to know if you're going to bet it or forget it. Okay. First one. The biggest risk to dealers is not technology adoption, it's talent development. Bet it or forget it.
Bet it.
Bet it.
Tell us why.
Okay. So, one of the things that we're working on in our organization is we tend to promote into management/leadership positions people who are really technically good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't done anything about looking at them from the standpoint of, can they help others be successful? Right? So that whole development for my organization now is, how do I take these really technically proficient people at their jobs and help them become really good at getting other people to be successful
Engaging
too.
with a team.
Yes.
And being emotionally intelligent
Mm-hmm.
and being able to lead people.
That's right.
Is a skill beyond just the technicality of the area. I think that's so great. Is there anything that you're doing that's working really well on developing those next leaders that you're trying?
There's a lot of initiatives right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are measuring turnover and we are measuring retention of employees. And we want our management staff, our leadership, to be able thinking in terms of career development for each one of their employees.
Yeah.
And engaging with that. But they don't know how to do it. So I'm working with actually HR leaders from other companies on what works for them, right? And helping to create training, right, that we can provide to all of our people that help them become better leaders and better people developers.
Well, I think that definitely ties directly to the third, bet it or forget it. So can I take that one in?
Go for it.
All right. So Eve, bet it or forget it. This ties so much to what you're saying. Culture matters more than inventory, having the right inventory, and the success of a dealership. Bet it or forget it.
Bet it. Peter Drucker, known as the father of modern management, said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I swear to God, I am living proof of that, right? When I can have a great strategy, but if I don't have the culture behind it that wants to achieve it, not happening.
When you came into your role, did you identify areas of the culture that you wanted to change, improve, strengthen, or has the culture been what it is throughout?
There was a good culture, right? I mean, when my dad was running the store, it was a pretty small organization, right? So there were like maybe 40 people now in one location. Now I'm over 100 in one location and I'm 70 in another location. So when you have that many people and that many personalities, you go through some changes. So there are times, there's a kind of an ebb and a flow, right? There are times that the culture is really pulled together and I think we kind of take it for granted a little bit when that happens because things are going so well and now we're not working so hard on the culture until all of a sudden we're going, wait, where did this turnover come from? Right?
Culture is something that you have to continue to foster and develop because just as difficult it is to build it up, it can be torn down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, this last one, Eve, is, of course, near and dear to our hearts at JM&A. Dealers who treat F&I as part of the customer experience will outperform those who treat it as a transaction.
You know that my career started in F&I, right?
I knew there was a reason why we liked you.
Exactly, Eve.
So it's a bet.
Yeah, for sure. It's a bet.
What are some ways how does that translate into the things you're doing at your stores?
So in finance,
Mhm.
every product that I offer is designed to do one thing, retain the
Retain the
customer,
customer.
right? And I pay my F&I professionals pretty well,
Mhm.
and I give them plenty of products. And I tell them, don't get too caught up in reserve, right? Because I need you to be the customer retention department.
Mm. That is an interesting perspective.
And it's really at the core of some of the conversations we've been having is thinking about affordability and how do you make it most attractive for customers to stay in your dealership? How do you make sure you have the right mix of inventory? How do you make sure they have the best service experience? I mean, Eve, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for setting us up so well and really honing in on what are the critical factors to continue into a fourth generation dealership.
That's right. We wish you tremendous success.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
We really appreciate you joining us today on The Walk Around, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow us. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Walk Around.